All right, let's unpack this one. We're diving into source material today about a service called MyPassportHub. Our goal here is really to understand what the source says this service offers and, well, look at how it presents its own reliability.
Right, and the source material kicks off by framing the basic problem, doesn't it? That dealing with passports can feel, well, pretty overwhelming for a lot of people.
Totally. You think about those complex forms, maybe confusing instructions, and just that general stress of like making a mistake that could mess everything up or cause big delays.
Exactly. And so this service, My Passport Hub, as described in the source, seems positioned to, simplify all of that.
Yeah, the source details how it supposedly handles different situations. Like applying for a brand new passport,
Hmm.
maybe for a child under 16, or, your very first adult passport. Or maybe your last one was issued, like way back, the source says, over 15 years ago, or when you were a minor.
And in those cases, the material suggests they guide you through what sounds like the standard DS-11 form process. They sort of hold your hand through that.
Yeah. Okay, so that's new applications. What about renewals? That's super common.
Yeah, the source gets specific there too. It mentions conditions like um, your current passport needs to be undamaged. It had to be issued when you were 16 or older, and it's either expiring soon or expired within the last, I think it's 5 years now.
Right, or if you've had a legal name change. That seems to cover a lot of the renewal scenarios.
And the source implies that's where they simplify the DS-82 form process for you.
Gotcha. And they also mentioned the lost or stolen passport situation. That sounds stressful.
Definitely. The source says they help with the DS-64 form. That's the one for reporting it lost or stolen. And they help whether you just need to report it or if you need to report it and apply for replacement at the same time.
Okay, so it covers the main scenarios, but how does the source say they actually do the simplification? What's the mechanism?
Well, it lays out this four-step process. Sounds pretty straightforward on the surface.
One.
Step one, you select the form that matches your need. DS-11 for new, DS-82 for renewal, DS-64 for lost stolen. They help you pick the right one, apparently.
Okay, makes sense. Then what?
Step two, according to the source, is you fill it out online. They use this term, a pro online wizard.
A pro online wizard. What does the source say that means?
It highlights things like easy step-by-step instructions and, importantly, comprehensive error checking.
Yeah.
The implication is that this wizard catches potential mistakes before they become a problem.
So trying to prevent those user errors right at the input stage.
Seems like it. Then step three, and this is presented as a pretty key feature in the source material. It's called professional revision.
Professional revision, so not just the withered.
Right. The source says experienced experts actually review your completed application to make sure it's optimized, is the word they use.
Optimized. Interesting. So it's suggesting a human check on top of the tech. That feels like a significant claim for reliability, doesn't it?
It really does. It suggests they understand that maybe people want that extra layer of confidence, especially for official documents. It's not just relying on an algorithm.
Okay, so the expert reviews it, then step four.
Step four, you get the reviewed document back, ready for you to just print it out, sign it, and then mail it, or take it in person to the acceptance facility, or mail it to the State Department, depending on the process.
So the service handles the prep and review, but you still handle the final submission.
That's what the source material seems to indicate, yeah.
Okay, so that's the how. But let's talk about the why. Why does the source suggest someone should use this service instead of just, tackling the government forms directly? What are the selling points focused on reliability?
Well, they circle back to that simple, intuitive application form, thanks to the wizard we talked about. Ease of use is definitely pushed hard.
And they promise speed, right? I saw something about that.
Yeah, a fast response. The source states they'll contact you, presumably if there are questions or with the reviewed form, in 24 hours or less. Speed is framed as a major benefit.
Which makes sense. Passport stuff can be time sensitive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there are the security and support claims. The source explicitly states your data is 100% protected, and they offer 247 support. Those are pretty direct assurances aimed at building trust.
Data protection and constant support.
Yeah.
Okay. But then the source brings out numbers, doesn't it? Specific metrics.
This seems to be a big part of how they argue for their trustworthiness. They list things like over 10 years in business.
10 years. Okay, longevity.
Then 700K plus passports processed. That's a significant volume.
Wow. Yeah. Over 700,000.
And linked to that, 600K plus satisfied customers. And they even quantify time saved 1,000K plus hours, which is what, a million hours?
1 million hours saved. That's
Wow.
quite a claim. How do these numbers tie into the reliability argument the source is making?
Well, if you look at how it's presented, listing those big numbers, especially the sheer volume of passports handled and the number of customers described as satisfied, it really feels like the source is trying to project, establish credibility. Like, we've done this successfully many, many times.
Right. It's using scale and history as proof of competence. Like, we wouldn't have processed 700,000 passports if we weren't reliable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That seems to be the logic presented. So those metrics, combined with the promises of that expert review step, the data security, the speed, the support, it all builds this picture of a dependable service.
And the source includes testimonials, too, right? From people who've used it.
Yeah, it mentions names like Alex Turner, Emily Carter, John Mitchell, and their supposed quotes echo those main selling points: ease of use, good customer service, avoiding paperwork headaches.
What kind of specifics do they?
Things like having all your information consolidated in an easy-to-access portal, which speaks to convenience, and that they apparently praise the team's speed and efficiency, backing up those claims we saw earlier.
So the testimonials are there to kind of personalize the benefits and reinforce the reliability claims made elsewhere in the source material.
Precisely. It seems like the whole package presented in the source is designed to take something perceived as difficult and stressful, getting a passport, and make it feel manageable, guided, and, well, safe,
Yeah.
giving the user peace of mind.
Okay. So boiling it all down, based purely on what we've seen in the source material, MyPassportHub presents itself as a way to make these potentially tricky passport tasks feel, well, almost effortless.
Yeah, it highlights specific claimed benefits, that expert review layer, the speed, the security guarantees, the support. And it backs all that up with those operational metrics: years in business, volume processed, customer served.
It really paints a picture of a service focused squarely on providing a guided online process, but with that crucial professional oversight component added in. The goal, as described, is simplifying passport applications and renewals and boosting user confidence in the outcome.
That definitely seems to be the core message conveyed by the source.
So this deep dive brings up an interesting thought, doesn't it? When you consider the source material, especially those claims about the sheer volume of passports processed, over 700,000.
Yeah.
Well, what does it really mean when a process like getting a passport, which is fundamentally personal, tied to your identity, and often quite bureaucratic and maybe even stressful, is handled by a streamlined digital service like this, even one that includes an expert review layer as described?
That's a good point.
How does that model, as presented by the source, balance the undeniable benefits of efficiency and error checking with the very individual, official nature of something like a passport application? Does streamlining necessarily capture everything?
That's definitely something worth mulling over. Where does that balance lie between the system's efficiency and individuals' journey through that official process? Food for thought.